Welcome back to the Business Book Club. Today, we're diving into Measure What Matters
Okay.
by John Doerr.
Yeah.
He's a venture capitalist,
Yeah.
who really had a front row seat to all those Silicon Valley
Oh, yeah.
giants rising up.
Absolutely.
And this book really unpacks, the whole
Yeah.
idea of objectives and key results,
Goals.
or OKRs, this
Yeah.
goal-setting system that
Mm-hmm.
Google, Intel, tons of other companies really
Right.
credit for their success.
It's so interesting how something so simple
Yeah.
as goal setting can be such a game changer. But as
Yeah.
Doerr illustrates, it's not just about setting any goals.
Right.
It's about setting the right goals
Right.
and having a system to actually achieve them.
I'm intrigued. So what makes OKRs different
Yeah.
from those regular New Year's resolutions that we all set
Yeah.
and then forget about a week later?
Well, one key difference is that
Yes.
OKRs are not just aspirations. They're about concrete, measurable actions.
Okay.
You don't just say, we want to increase revenue.
Right.
You define how you'll increase revenue.
Okay.
You have specific, verifiable key results.
Oh, okay.
And that's where the magic really happens.
So it's less about wishing and hoping and more about
exactly
creating that roadmap
Yeah.
with clear milestones along the way.
Yeah.
But it's still just a fathom, right? What makes it so powerful in practice?
That's what the book dives into.
Yeah.
And one thing that stood out to me was the emphasis on leadership commitment.
Mm-hmm.
Doerr actually shares how Larry Page, Google's CEO,
Right.
personally reviewed every engineer's OKRs in the
Mhm.
company's early years. Imagine the CEO of Google
Yeah.
poring over your individual goals.
That's wild.
That's a powerful message
Yeah.
about how seriously they took this system.
That is next level dedication.
Yeah.
It makes you realize that OKRs aren't just a tool.
Yeah.
It's a reflection of the company's culture.
It is. It's about the culture,
Yeah.
and that culture of focus and accountability
Right.
is something that Doerr traces back to Andy Grove,
Okay.
the legendary CEO of Intel,
Right.
father in OKRs.
Mm-hmm.
Doerr actually learned about the system while working at Intel under Grove
Okay.
back in the 1970s, and it had a profound impact on his career.
Speaking of Intel,
Yeah.
the book talks about how
Yeah.
Grove wasn't exactly thrilled when Doerr
Right.
decided to leave and pursue venture capital.
Right.
Calling it not a real job seems a bit harsh, even for a tough boss.
Yeah, it's a funny anecdote, but
Yeah.
you get the sense that there was a lot of mutual respect there.
Yeah.
But it also highlights Grove's laser focus on tangible, measurable results, something that clearly influenced OKRs.
So how did OKRs evolve from the traditional management by objectives, or MBOs?
Well, Grove saw limitations in MBOs.
Okay.
They often lacked clarity and
Yeah.
focused on effort rather than measurable outcomes.
Okay.
He wanted a system that was more precise,
Mm.
more focused on results, almost like an engineer's approach to goal setting.
That makes sense, given his background.
Right.
Yeah. So how did he go about engineering a better goal-setting system?
He started by sharpening the focus.
Okay.
With OKRs, you define a limited number of objectives.
Right.
The what you want to achieve.
Okay.
Then for each objective, you
Mhm.
set key results, the measurable milestones.
Okay.
Those demonstrate that you're on the right path.
It's like having a roadmap,
Exactly.
but instead of just the destination,
Right.
you have specific checkpoints along the way.
It's about having those checkpoints.
Yeah.
And it's not enough to just map it out.
Right.
You have to actively track your progress and be willing to adapt as needed.
Right.
Doerr emphasizes that OKRs are not about setting and forgetting.
Right.
They're about constantly evaluating, learning, and course correcting.
That's where it gets really interesting. Doerr shares some really fascinating stories
Yeah.
of companies using OKRs to achieve
Right.
seemingly impossible goals. And it goes beyond just big tech companies like Google.
Mm-hmm.
We see OKRs in action at nonprofits, startups, even in Bono's One campaign.
It's amazing. What's so compelling about those stories is
Yeah.
that they highlight how OKRs are not a one-size-fits-all solution. They're a framework that can be adapted to
Right.
different contexts,
Right.
different industries, and even different personalities.
I'm very eager to dive into those stories
Yeah.
and see how these principles play out in the real world.
And that's exactly what we'll do next.
Okay.
We're going to look at how OKRs helped companies navigate everything from intense market battles to global humanitarian efforts. We'll uncover the strategies, the challenges, and the surprising lessons learned along the way. One of the most compelling stories that Doerr shares is about Intel's Operation Crush.
Right?
It was a campaign to regain market share
Right.
in the microprocessor market from Motorola in the early 1980s.
Oh, yeah. I remember reading about that.
Yeah,
It was a high-stakes battle.
it was.
And it seemed like everyone at Intel was just so laser-focused
Yeah.
on winning. Did
Absolutely.
OKRs play a role in that?
Absolutely. This was a real test for Grove's system,
Okay.
and it demonstrated how OKRs could be used
Hmm.
to mobilize an entire organization
Right.
around a shared goal.
Okay.
Instead of just aiming to be better,
Yeah.
Intel set a very specific objective.
Okay.
Established the 8086 as the highest performing 16-bit microprocessor family.
Wow.
That clarity of purpose was crucial.
It's almost like a military campaign, right? Everyone knows the mission, and
Exactly.
every action is aligned with achieving that objective.
Yes.
But what I found so fascinating
Yeah.
was how Doerr really emphasizes the importance of pairing key results
Right.
to create a more balanced approach. What's the thinking behind that?
It's about avoiding that trap of tunnel vision.
Okay.
He uses the example of the Ford Pinto, where Ford became so fixated on meeting specific weight and cost targets that they overlooked critical safety considerations.
Right, yeah.
Their key results were driving them toward their objective, but at a terrible cost.
That's a sobering reminder that even with a system like OKRs, you still have to consider
Right.
that bigger picture.
Yes.
It's not just about hitting those numbers, but making sure those numbers are aligned with your values.
Exactly. Pairing key results is about finding that balance.
Okay.
So, for example, if one key result is focused on increasing sales,
Yeah,
you might pair it with another one that focuses on customer satisfaction,
right.
ensuring that growth doesn't come at the expense of quality.
It makes me think of that saying, what you measure is what you get.
Exactly.
If you're only measuring those
Yeah.
short-term profits, you might miss crucial signals
Right.
about customer loyalty or brand reputation.
Exactly. And that's where the concept of North Star alignment comes in.
Okay.
It's about connecting those individual and team goals
Right.
to the overarching mission of the organization. Doerr shares the example of MyFitnessPal, the fitness app.
Right.
As they grew and faced the complexities of being acquired by Under Armour,
Right.
they used OKRs to stay aligned with that core mission,
Yes.
making sure everyone was rowing in the same direction.
It's about keeping your eye on the prize, even when things get complicated.
Yeah.
What we appreciate about the book is that it's not all sunshine and roses and success stories,
Right.
Doerr is honest about the challenges and even the failures
Yeah.
that companies can face when implementing OKRs.
He emphasizes that OKRs are a journey,
Right.
not a destination.
Okay.
It's about being flexible,
Mm-hmm.
adapting to those changing circumstances, and learning from your mistakes.
Yeah.
He even shares Google's practice of holding weekly team meetings
Okay.
to discuss progress on OKRs, identify obstacles, and brainstorm solutions.
So it sounds like open communication and a willingness to adjust course are key.
Absolutely.
But I also imagine that data plays a big role in tracking progress
Yeah.
and making those adjustments.
Absolutely. Doerr is a big advocate for using data to measure what matters.
Okay.
It's about having a clear and objective view of what's working and what needs to be tweaked.
Mm-hmm.
He talks about how Google uses color-coded bars to publicly track progress on
Yeah.
OKRs, making it very transparent who's responsible for what and
Yeah.
how they're performing.
It's like having a dashboard for your goals.
Exactly.
You can see at a glance where you're on track
Right.
and where you might need to make adjustments.
Exactly. Now, beyond those mechanics of setting and tracking goals, Measure What Matters also explores the cultural impact of OKRs.
And this is something that's come up throughout our conversation.
It has.
It's clear that OKRs aren't just a system. They're a reflection of a company's values and priorities.
As we've seen in the stories of Intel, Google,
Yeah.
and all these other successful companies,
Right.
OKRs foster a culture of transparency and accountability.
Right.
When everyone's goals are openly shared
Yeah.
and progress is tracked publicly, it creates a sense of shared responsibility.
Mhm.
It encourages people to step up and own their contributions.
It's almost like that saying, sunlight is the best disinfectant, right?
Absolutely.
Transparency can help to eliminate problems before they fester.
Doerr also highlights the importance of CFRs,
Okay?
conversations, feedback, and recognition,
Right.
as a crucial complement to OKRs.
It sounds like that's where the human element comes in.
Exactly. It's not enough to just set goals and track progress.
Right.
You need to create a culture where people feel comfortable
Yeah.
giving and receiving feedback, where their contributions are acknowledged and where successes are celebrated.
And it makes me think of that quote by Maya Angelou. People will forget what you said. People will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel.
Right.
And it seems like OKRs combined with CFRs
Yeah.
can create an environment where people feel valued and motivated
Absolutely.
to do their best work.
One of the most striking examples of that is Bono's experience with OKRs at the One campaign.
Oh, I'm curious to hear more about that. How did a rock star and a data-driven goal-setting system come together to tackle
Yes.
such a massive global challenge?
It's fascinating how OKRs helped an organization with a mission as broad as ending extreme poverty,
Right.
focus their efforts and measure their impact. Doerr describes a pivotal moment when he challenged one to consider the perspective of the people they were working for,
Okay.
leading to a shift from a top-down model to one that prioritized collaboration with African leaders and communities.
It sounds like a case of OKRs helping an organization to not only achieve its goals,
Yes,
but also to stay true to its values.
precisely. And that's a valuable lesson for any organization,
Right.
whether you're fighting poverty or launching a new product.
Yeah.
It's about making sure your actions are aligned with your mission and that you're measuring the impact of your work in a meaningful way.
Now, we've talked a lot about companies, but I'm also curious about how individuals
Yeah,
can apply these principles to their own lives. Earlier, you mentioned how Barry Page
yeah,
personally reviewed every engineer's OKRs in Google's early years,
yeah,
which is just an incredible display of commitment to the system. But
right.
how can someone who's not running a multi-billion-dollar company make OKRs work for them?
That's a great question, and it's something we'll explore as we wrap up our deep dive.
Okay.
We'll look at how you can adapt the principles of OKRs
Mm.
to achieve your personal goals, whether you're aiming to run a marathon, write a book, or simply bring more focus and intention to your everyday life.
Okay, so we've seen how those OKRs can really drive success at these huge companies like Google and Intel.
Yeah,
But what about, the rest of us?
right.
Can entrepreneurs,
Absolutely.
individuals, use this system to achieve their own goals?
You can. The scale might be different,
Right.
but the principles are very adaptable.
Okay.
Think back to that core structure. What's the objective?
Right.
What are those measurable results
Okay.
that are going to prove you're on the right track?
So let's say my objective is to,
Yeah.
launch my own online business within the next year.
Okay.
What would some of my key results look like?
So instead of saying, build a website,
Right.
you break that down. Maybe one key result is have a fully functional e-commerce site live by date.
Okay.
Another could be acquire 500 email subscribers by date,
Right.
indicating an early audience in with.
So it's about taking that big, sometimes overwhelming goal
Yes,
and just making it tangible
exactly.
in those concrete steps.
Yes.
But what about some of those other OKR principles that we talked about?
Yeah,
Commitment, focus, even stretch goals.
right.
How do those translate to, a
Well-
personal level?
Commitment might mean publicly announcing your launch date
Okay.
to kind of hold yourself accountable.
Mm-hmm.
Focus could involve saying no to side projects that distract you from
Okay.
your main objective.
Right.
And a stretch goal.
Yeah.
Maybe it's aiming for a certain revenue target
Right.
that seems ambitious, pushing you to be more creative and resourceful.
I'm starting to see how this could be really powerful. It's almost like having your own
Right.
personal board of directors
Yeah,
holding you accountable, pushing you to achieve
absolutely.
more than you thought possible.
You've got it.
Yeah.
Doerr actually touches on that in the book, mentioning how OKRs can be a powerful tool for personal growth
Right.
and development. He talks about how the same discipline and rigor
Right.
that you apply to your business goals can be applied to your personal life.
Wow, this has given me so much to think about, measure what matters, and definitely challenged me to think differently about goal setting, both, in my work and in my personal life.
It is. It's a valuable read. It's full of these inspiring stories,
Right.
practical advice. And for me, one of the key takeaways is the emphasis on continuous learning and improvement.
Uh-huh.
OKRs are not about achieving perfection,
Right.
but about embracing that journey,
Okay.
learning from your mistakes, and always striving to be better.
It's about, adopting that growth mindset, right?
Exactly.
That idea that we're all capable of evolving and achieving more than we think.
Absolutely. So as you embark on your own OKR journey, remember to stay curious, stay adaptable, and never stop learning.
Well said. And that is a wrap on our deep dive into Measure What Matters.
Okay.
A huge thank you to our expert for sharing such insightful perspective
It's been my pleasure.
on this game-changing book. And to all our listeners, if you're ready to take your goal setting to the next level, I highly recommend picking up a copy of Measure What Matters.
Definitely.
And be sure to subscribe to the Business Book Club for more deep dives into these impactful books that can really help you achieve extraordinary things. Until next time, happy reading and happy goal crushing. Now that's a wrap for this episode of the Business Book Club. If you enjoyed the ride, make sure to subscribe so you'll never miss our next deep dive. By the way, if you're looking for a detailed breakdown of this book, head over to my other channel, The Weekend Book Club. There, you'll find a book summary video that dives even deeper into the key concepts, plus a free book summary to download. The link is in the show notes below. Don't miss out. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and we'll see you in the next episode.